So round number 5 of the Bridgestone Production Car Championship, and all sorts of things to be played for, Matt. It's going to be an interesting sprint race here. 8 laps here in Volcom.
It's going to be extremely busy, Steve. The guys have really battled to find any kind of setup because the track is so dirty right in the middle of winter. A lot of wind, as you can see, pushing all that dirt and dust from the outside of the track onto the tarmac. It's going to be hard work. This should give a good advantage, certainly in the early stages, to the BMWs. We go back into the Class Ts, and Phakisa, who sits 3rd in the championship, is trying to find some form and move on forward.
Well, let's look out for Lee Thompson because he's got a point to prove. But will it be the BMWs? And we know how good in their straight line speed they are, and they've got the track to prove it too.
Groenewold and Bonafide, those guys, remember, they were involved in a lot of chaos and drama within their own team at the previous round. They've done a rebuild on Groenewold's car, and he's back into the mix.
So Class T, and we're having some action right now, and Lee Thompson's in the mix there. There's the 4, Sean Dumity, and just ahead of him, it looks like Graham Nathan there. But watch out for the Class Ts because this is going to be an interesting race right here at Volcom.
It really is. Watch out for the Chevy Cruze as well. A lot of guys going off. You can see how dirty it is. Looks like a rally stage. But coming into this round, looking at the Class Ts, it looks like Van Rooyen had a real good straight line advantage. We're picking up on the Class A's, and the gap is starting to separate. Look at Phakisa, already hassling the inside line, trying to get around championship leader Nathan.
Michael Van Rooyen will have a point to prove here and will desperately need points halfway through the season. Look at that, Graham Nathan. And Phakisa has dropped him down by 1 spot. Phakisa''s in front.
Yeah, he's been trying to get himself in the early stage of the races, get clear air. Look at the BMWs though, they're stretching things away, and it's team formation flying. BMWs 2 by 2, then all about the Audis, the rest of the 4 come through. But Thompson is in a real battle here. Remember, he's going to have to fight hard to keep back the slippery shape of the Chevy Cruze.
Well, we've seen this often, haven't we? Since race number 1, we've seen the line of formation from the BMWs and the Audis, and this is no different.
It's going to be very tricky because, of course, Johan Verriet fastest in qualifying by 0.7. So now that he's got clear air and converted that pole position into a hole shot, as we see Van Rooyen just pushing a little bit wide there, and there may have been a problem on the car because no way he should have bust that wide that early.
Well, it's rather intriguing to say the least because Michael is a very, very composite driver and very exceptional details from the Chevy Cruze to go off like that, as you say. But we're back with the action now, and it's Class A. Groenewold, will he come to the party? We expect so much from this Audi.
It's Cronje that is in big trouble because he's getting left behind. But like we said, his teammate Johan Verriet out-qualifying him by 0.7. It's up to Cronje to try and run with the pace. But remember, it's teammates. You can play the team game. And at the moment, he seems to be holding back the 2 Sassel Audis.
So Gennaro Bonafide will also want to get into this mix very quickly, and they don't want to let those BMWs get ahead, but they do have that straight line advantage. That is the problem, but we do know that Gennaro Bonafide and Henry Groenewold in those cars are very good through the corners.
Yeah, it's going to be a tricky ask this time around in the sprint race, but later on in the feature race, the longer race, that's where the Audis should be able to shine, certainly as the track gets dirtier and dirtier as the day goes on. Watch them clip the inside curbs, and that's just going to drag even more roost onto the track, and certainly in a braking market like this, coming out of the hook, it's going to be filthy down there.
What kind of damage is that going to be doing to the tires?
Not too much damage in this race, to be honest, Steve. The guys won't really try and drop the pressure because that would damage the tires. What they'll do is try and find a softer setup on the car so they plant and sit a little bit tighter so the suspension will actually squat the car, and that's how they'll find the grip.
All right, so the master, Henry Groenewold, is just slightly behind Gennaro Bonafide, and look at those lines. Really nice and tight on the apex, getting the drive out much better than the BMW. Again, he's now starting to put pressure on that alcohol team killer BMW right now.
Yeah, he's in trouble because look at that. The deficit is growing between 1 and 2. I don't expect to see many passes happening in this first race, by the way. If you go offline, it's very dangerous, very slippery, so there's a risk factor that the guys are weighing up right now.
All right, 4 of 8, and we're halfway through the sprint race, and Phakisa still in charge right now. Unexpectedly, I might add, because Graham Nathan will just become charging. Now, Sean Dumity, we're looking for more from him, and then there's Charles Smallberger in the other VW GTI Golf.
Yeah, watch out for Mike Van Rooyen as well. He had those problems in the early laps. He's now doing the big fight back. He's going to try, you see him just at the background there, trying to close in on the second of the minis. That'll be Umdukani. But there's a big split here halfway through the Class Ts, and Thompson is actually battling to hang on to the pace of the leaders of Nathan and Phakisa. Remember, second fastest qualifier was Lee Thompson.
Well, why would that be? Because we know how strong that mini is, and we certainly know the capabilities of Lee Thompson.
Yeah, he could have a problem, and he's just going to try and maybe nurse the car, bring it home, not force the issue too hard. He's got another 4 laps to get in the bag before he can actually go go park the car and they can figure a few things out going forward into the second race. And the second race, historically, is where Thompson shines.
In the cockpit right now with Gennaro Bonafide, putting more pressure on Gavin Cronje. And that gap between 1 and 2, as you said, is starting to get more and more.
Yeah, and watch out, because although through the big sweepers, the Audi closes up by the end of the straight as they come into this long, double, almost triple right-hander, that's where the advantage goes back to the hands of the rear-wheel drive BMW.
Man, they're hard on the brakes on this racetrack. It really is impressive. And at night, when we used to have those long night races, you used to see those wheel arches. They were just glowing. And I mean, the brake pads and everything, the disc, just an impressive sight.
Yeah, it's a great circuit. When we come here in the winter, though, it's a bit of a gamble. It's either freezing cold, but it's always dusty. You can see it's just hanging in the air. As guys go offline, it is absolutely filthy out there.
Well, this is bad news right now because Michael Stephen is not in this picture and Johan Furey is.
Yeah, our reigning champion is really battling to find some kind of form and consistency in the mid part of the season. Scoring points is how you bring it home. And normally, he's at the situation where we are now, he's just defending. At the moment, he needs to go and get wins and attack.
Matt, this is absolutely fantastic for the BMW team because this is now 3 in a row, a double in East London, and the first flight of Volcom.
Here's confirmation of the results then coming out of the first race. Furey takes another victory. He's looking good for this season ahead of Cronje, Bonafide, Groenewold and Stephen. Yeah, those BMWs are on a roll at the moment on the big flowing circuits. We go pick up on the Class Ts, and our third fastest qualifier did all the damage in the early laps. And he has really thrown a cat amongst the pigeons with a massive victory in heat number 1. Second place is going to go to our championship points leader, Nathan. But a big surprise to see second fastest qualifier, Lee Thompson, off the back wheel. Still going to limp it home in third, though.
He's done and dusted. Let's have a look at the results of race number 1 in Class T. It was Gary Formato leading out over Graham Nathan, Lee Thompson and Sean Duminy.
Watching action from the Bridgestone production cars, round number 5. A big thanks to Jaguar for all of this action.